from New York, National Campaign Manager, Donald Trump for President, Corey Lewandowski. Good to have you back on the show, Corey.
Good morning. How are you today?
Doing fantastic. Looking forward to my candidate for president hosting Saturday Night Live on Saturday. You know, I was telling somebody the other day, Corey, the Republicans held Virginia in the race for the state Senate. Terry McAuliffe, the Democratic governor, kind of trying to set the stage here in the state in 2016 for Hillary, spent millions and millions of dollars, got millions of dollars in from Mayor of New York, former Mayor Bloomberg's Political Action Committee. Republicans turned that back, were able to maintain control of the upper chamber. I was telling a lot of people, you know, we didn't have any idea what the Trump impact would be, but Donald Trump held two events in Virginia 2 weeks from each other, drew a combined 10,000 people. We're still 4 months out from Super Tuesday. There was definitely a level of enthusiasm for Republicans I've not seen. And I was saying, I don't know, are those 10,000 people going to show up on Tuesday? I think they did. I think you guys are at the cusp of something that's bigger than you even realize. What do you think?
Well, you know, I got to say, I think you're right. You know, we've had two great opportunities to come to Virginia, one in Richmond and then the other one in Norfolk, and the crowds have been amazing. They've been engaged. These are the rank-and-file people who are tired of losing. They're tired of America being second to everybody else. They're tired of giving away the farm. They're tired of bad trade deals and free for everybody except us. And so those are the people who come out to listen to Mr. Trump. And what we saw in Richmond, we had 8,000 people there. We had 5,000 at the USS Wisconsin last Saturday, and a beautiful Saturday in Norfolk. It was fantastic. It's such a great state, and as you probably know, we submitted 15,000 signatures to ensure that Mr. Trump is on the ballot. Those will officially be turned in on Friday to the state party for verification to make sure that Mr. Trump is on the ballot. He's the first candidate to submit that. We had to get 5,000 as the requirement. We went out and got 15,000 just by volunteers who want to go out and make sure that they can help make America great again. So it's very humbling, and the state has been very, very good to Mr. Trump.
You know, I think you're onto something here, no doubt. And we were able to be at the two events, obviously, put the two of them on that radio. The other thing is I got the biggest audience we've ever had for both of those events in Richmond and the one in Virginia Beach. So you got 10,000 people that turned out. I had the biggest audience ever between each of those two events, Wednesday night and Saturday. So you got a lot of enthusiasm in Virginia. And look, you guys are making a good decision, Corey, coming to Virginia, because if the Republican presidential nominee in 2016 does not win Virginia, the path to becoming president really gets tougher. You have to start winning states like Iowa, Wisconsin, things like that. And so Virginia is very critical. I think you guys are in, and I think after you're the nominee, I think you're in a position now to win this state.
Well, you know, I'd love to say that that's the case. Obviously, we take nothing for granted. Mr. Trump is going to campaign hard everywhere. This next week, we're going to be in Illinois, and we're going to be in Wisconsin, and New Hampshire, and Iowa, and Florida, and Texas, and Tennessee, and back in Massachusetts and South Carolina, because we've got 89 days to go until the first vote is cast in Iowa. We were in New Hampshire yesterday where Mr. Trump filed his candidacy paperwork, the first major candidate on the Republican Party side to do that. So we're very excited, and look, everywhere we go, the crowds are unlike anything I've ever seen. It's amazing the receptivity he gets from, you know, what we try and book a small venue somewhere, and all of a sudden, like Illinois on Monday, we found a venue that held 5,000 people. All of a sudden, we have 14,000 RSVPs. It was just amazing. I've never seen anything like it in my life, and that's a true testament to his message of making America great again and the frustration level of the American people who are tired of these politicians who are all talk and no action, and they want to see a change made, and that change is coming very, very soon because this election is getting closer.
It is. We're with Donald Trump for President, National Campaign Manager. A time spent in the media over changing the format of the debates. Obviously, the RNC unhappy with the debacle in Colorado the other day. I mean, the first question that came out of the box from John Harwood, I was like aghast with it. I think it was something like, "Are you running a comic book candidacy. I mean, this was supposed to be economics, business. We thought we were going to talk about the Federal Reserve having an audit, things like that, stock prices, and we got just buffoon questions. How are you guys going to get control of this process?
Well, here's what it is. I think the networks have done a disservice to the American people who want to hear solutions to real problems, whether it's ISIS or Syria or a stagnant economy or bad trade deals. You know, the networks have taken an opportunity to make their anchors the news story and not let the candidates actually tell the American people what they want to do to make this country great again. And I think CNBC, unfortunately, chose, look, they had the most successful day, and they've said this publicly, financially, in the history of CNBC. They were charging $250,000 for a 30-second commercial. They wanted to have a 3-hour debate. Mr. Trump negotiated it with Dr. Carson down to a 2-hour debate, and then they turned around and asked a series of gotcha questions, of which many were not relevant to people running for president or the American people cared about, such as when they asked Governor Huckabee if they thought that Mr. Trump had the temperament and the moral character to be the President of the United States. Now, I don't understand the question on its face because, Governor Huckabee should have a question addressed to him, which is about a policy issue. And, he gave a fantastic answer, and Mr. Trump was very thankful that said, yes, of course he does have the moral character to become the president, but that's not a question worthy of a presidential discussion when CNBC had the opportunity to ask real questions. And I think what you saw was the Republican National Committee came out immediately after and said, we will not be partnering with NBC following this to do another debate because of the unfairness of the way they treat the candidates. It's really too bad, and I hope that the next debate, which is going to take place on Tuesday in Wisconsin, is run much more fairly, much more equitably, and asks real questions that the American people actually care about.
Okay, so when we're looking at that debate on Tuesday in Milwaukee, what guarantee is there going to be that there's going to be any real change from the real three debacles that we've seen? I mean, just one after the other. They seem to be getting worse.
Well, it's true, and here's the problem, and this is, I don't want to fault anybody, but I think our opportunity to negotiate directly with the networks, and Mr. Trump to negotiate directly with the networks on the criteria which he thinks is important, which is a 2-hour debate, which is very reasonable, the opportunity to make a statement on the front end, an opening statement, and a closing statement. Right. That's all we've asked for. Right. Everything else, is up to the discretion of the moderator. But I don't think candidates saying, look, 2 hours on stage, including commercials, and give us the opportunity to make an opening and a closing statement is so egregious, particularly when you look at what the Democrat debate was like. I mean, it was a series of softball questions. Basically they asked each other, do you love everyone on the stage, or do you just love everybody on the stage, one day a week? And
right.
it was amazing how easy a series of those questions were, unlike the last 3 debates, of which, every metric says that Mr. Trump won all of those debates. But I think there's a significant difference. And what Senator Cruz said was, why are we having debates moderated by individuals who have never actually voted in a Republican primary?
Ever.
And it's a very fair question, to be candid. So, when it comes to the general election, I think that's a different story. But right now, I don't fundamentally understand why they partnered with a network and had moderators who were out to do a gotcha job on the candidates. I don't see how that's helpful to anybody, including the American people.
No, I don't think. I think it was it was so intellectually affrontive to anybody that turned those on to try to get real information about the candidates. I'm glad you guys took action. I want to get to just quickly some of the national polling that has come out that has showed now Dr. Carson taking the lead. I think 2 of them have come out. The majority nationally still have a big lead for Mr. Trump. In your own meetings with people, anything that you're seeing that's a little bit different, what do you think is behind that, Corey?
Well, I think number one, you saw the Fox News poll came out yesterday. It shows Mr. Trump up again as the leader in that race. Dr. Carson's in second place there. That's the criteria that they're going to use to decide who's able to be on the main debate stage and then who will not be on that stage or the secondary stage. So we're very happy with the Fox News results. What we see is everywhere we go, people are tired of the way Washington works, or for that matter, doesn't work. And so when you have 2 political outsiders, people who are not bought and paid for by special interests, that don't have a lengthy career in government service of not accomplishing anything, polling collectively north of 50%, in some cases almost 60% of the vote, it's because the American people, and particularly those in the Republican primary electorate, are tired of having a Congress which has an 8 or 9% approval rating and has made promises but been unable to follow through on them. And that's what you've seen. And I think that's really the major difference here. You've got elected officials who are serving in Washington right now who say that they're going to fix the problem, but they've had the opportunity to do that over 5 or 6 years, or in some cases longer, and nothing ever changes. And I think finally the American people are saying, enough is enough. Let's put a businessman in. Let's make sure that we can actually do for our country what he's been able to do for his private business, which is grow that business, create jobs, ensure that people have good, high wages, and let's do that without wasting money. We see the government waste is just so insane. We saw yesterday, that now illegal aliens are going to qualify for Social Security. I don't understand it. I just fundamentally don't understand how this could actually take place in our country. We have a system which is broken. Social Security needs to be saved. The people who've paid into it have a right to have their money back because they've relied on that. The government made a promise, and they should keep that promise. And now we see people who aren't even in the country legally being able to qualify for Social Security. And if you look at the election, which took place just 2 days ago, and you see that sheriff in California who lost his election because of the sanctuary city issue, that is directly related to Mr. Trump bringing up the problems that we have with illegal immigration in this country. And the frustration, even in California, from the people there who are saying, no more. Right. Enough is enough. It's time to change the system.
Now, in Mr. Trump's remarks in Norfolk on Saturday, he gave a very detailed policy speech. A lot of times when you see Mr. Trump at rallies, you get a lot of the chutzpah and things like that get people fired up. Saturday, quite different. You had that, but you had very detailed policy. Corey, I've got 3 minutes. If you could share with our audience the details, some of the key details of Mr. Trump's policy on the VA when he becomes president.
Sure. First and foremost, it's very simple. If you are a veteran and you have served our country, you deserve the best health care available. And the fact is, the VA has failed many veterans. Hundreds of thousands of people have died waiting, and it's unacceptable. So let's do it real clear. Number one, fire the people at the VA who have allowed this to perpetuate and continue to allow this to happen. The problem is not solved. Veterans are waiting way too long for their care. Number two, give veterans the opportunity to go anywhere that takes government money and allow them to get health care. No more hour-long drives or 2-hour-long drives. Look, in my home state of New Hampshire, we don't even have a full-service VA hospital. It's a tragedy. You have to drive to Massachusetts, or you have to drive to Vermont. Why can't we allow veterans who have risked their lives, and in so many cases, wounded warriors and others who need health care and need it immediately, go to any hospital and present their government card that says, I'm a veteran and I deserve the best care. That's the most important thing, which is portability. Finding those opportunities right up front and giving those people the opportunity. Look, you have to support the whole veteran, not just their physical health, but also addressing the invisible wounds, right, which is PTSD, the post-traumatic stress disorder. We have to fund these programs, and we have to partner to ensure that veterans, as they come and transition from active duty to whether it's a reserve status or back into the private sector, we have to help them find opportunities to work so that they can adjust immediately, whether it's with for-profit companies, not-for-profit companies, government sector companies. We have to have better training programs in place. And that's what the plan outlines. It's very simple. Give veterans the opportunity to go anywhere they want to get their health care. Fire the incompetency that takes place. Make the VA more accountable. Make them compete with the private sector hospitals so that they will actually provide better care, and more funding for PTSD and the invisible wounds that these veterans have from serving our country. That's a very important thing for us, and I think veterans deserve that. I know they deserve it, and I know your listeners agree with that.
Look, no question. And he's the first. I was saying this to one of the advisors for CVA that was on my show earlier. He's the first major presidential candidate, either side of the aisle, to come out with a detailed plan on the VA. Everybody is talking. There's no action. He has a plan. I've got one more minute. We had Chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Bob Goodlatte, with us today at 8 a.m. We asked him about the fact that President Obama apparently is trying to defy the court order by the federal court order by Justice Judge Hayden in Texas on his amnesty who gave the stay. They're actually trying to defy this. In 30 seconds, what would a President Trump do in this situation?
I think it's very simple, right? We are a nation of laws, and whether you like them or don't like them, when the federal courts rule, it is an equal branch of the government, and you have to understand that that's how our system works. And this administration has time and time again used their executive power to override the will of the people, override the will of Congress, to tell the judiciary that they don't have to listen to them. It's shameful. Look, our nation needs borders. Our nation needs laws. Our nation needs a wall. And this administration fundamentally disagrees with the fact that we have illegal aliens pouring across the border, committing crimes. We see it every single day, and they want to do nothing about it. The Trump administration would change that immediately. We'd build a wall on the southern border. Mexico would pay for that wall. We would stop illegal immigration from coming in here, and we'd stop American citizens who are getting killed from illegals from continuing to happen.
We're out of time. We want to thank National Campaign Manager for the Donald J. Trump for President campaign, Corey Lewandowski, for being with us. You want more info, go to donaldjtrump.com. Always good to have you on, sir. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for the time. Okay.
All right. We'll be